Hi, welcome to Press Radio. This is show 20. We're pre-recording because somebody's going on vacation. So we decided we'd do a show. You got to go sometime. So we're just going to do our normal Prayers Radio conversation. And we're doing what's called a deep, and we're going to, recap, deep inquiry. I'm Reverend Rich. You are.
This is Reverend Paul.
Oh, man, I'll tell you, this has been a journey so far, hasn't it?
Oh my gosh. You can tell the individualization of the spirit in everyone that we've interviewed.
Oh, yeah. It's really cool that each person has their own way of actually looking at prayer and doing prayer. We had Reverend Janet on. She was powerful. We had Reverend Jim on. We also had Julia, and, she's doing the Science of Mind archive stuff. She's brilliant. They're all brilliant. Think about it. And then Reverend Patty, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I actually watched her, I watch her, some of her videos and stuff that she does. And man, she's smart.
She's a powerful being.
Quantum physics and all this stuff. And I'm going, tell me more, like I always do.
Imagine her as my teacher for 2 years. That's amazing.
Right. And then, we just had J.R. Mendeville on just this morning. Yeah, I got the same shirt on because we're recording this right after. I do have different shirts.
And he's a powerful individual too.
Well, using prayer for martial arts. Think about it.
I like the correlation between the martial arts and the power of prayer.
What do you mean?
They're both a practice. We need to practice. And the more we practice, the more we get to sit into it faster.
What do you mean sit into it?
Well, he gave the example of his mom on the last show we did, number 19, of getting her into a little bit of the martial arts to create more of a balance for her. So if she falls, she doesn't break anything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I go to, I actually pay for his class. I like his classes. So I, support him on it, which, that's circulation. If you're just holding everything, then you're not going to open to get anything else. And you want to support people, your church, Reverend Patty's, Reverend Jim's over at OC Spiritual Center and Visions.
Vision CSL, right?
Vision CSL. Yeah, you want to support those platforms and other platforms because we're going to have other reverends on and they're going to tell you about their church, and if they resonate with you, send them, throw me a bone, that type of thing.
Right. If you're getting spiritually fed, why not?
Well, yeah, and it comes back to you tenfold because you get the message and you get to listen. Even Prayers Radio, we got to buy us a cup of coffee on our site, and Paul's has buy a cup of coffee soon to come. And then, of course, we always, there's other foundations that help us also. The nice thing about that is that, the circulation happens there. What do you think about that?
There needs to be a circulation.
That's a deep inquiry that we go within each other. A lot of times, there's a lot of people on the web and things like that, and they talk and they do shows and they're not supported. I support a bunch of them because they're putting out content that resonates with you. They're putting out things that matter to you, that actually feed you. I watch different shows and I've spoken at a couple of churches. Yeah, I'm Toastmaster and things like that, so I can talk a few things without saying But the point is that there's that spiritual food that we get. What do you think?
Right, that law of circulation.
Well, the law of circulation, if we go back in history, is a Hermetic principle, to not go to some of my other philosophies, because I was Science of Mind in high school, when it was introduced to me with, over in Huntington Beach, I got a chance to learn some of it. I was like, then you go travel around the world and different philosophy. And I'm reverenced a couple of philosophies, actually about 4 or 5 of them. But, we talked to JR, black belt with, him and stuff like that. And, there's different philosophies that we learned from in this. I think we talked about, I'll be giving a class this Thursday because we're pre-recording this. So when we release this, I'll be giving a class on Thursday. And if you go at the show notes on this, you'll see that class. And it's about a 90-minute class. It'll be on Zoom. And it will, I'm basing it on archery because I do archery. I think I told you about that before. Yeah. And it's basically hitting the mark with prayer. And there'll be experientials and things of that nature. So you're welcome to try that. And our guests, all of our guests, if you go to their sites, they offer different types of venues that you can go to, different classes. JR spoke about classes, remember? And how those classes, you take one and you get a spiritual teacher like yourself and myself that you're going, wow, these guys are resonating with me. I'm hearing this because it's in our philosophy, it's individualized. It isn't something external or some let me lay the hand on you and that type of thing. It's, it comes through you, for you, and then you get an understanding. You go, wow, this works. What do you think?
Yeah, it works when we apply it, when we practice it.
Practice is the big thing.
Like when you just said with your archery, you can't just pull the bow and boom, get a bullseye. You have to practice to get that bullseye.
And you have to be open to actually do to see other ways of methods that archery can be done. Like I'll go down to a range, where I'm shooting arrows, and I'll bring my daughter sometimes, and it's fun to do with, family. And, there's master teachers there. And just like in any philosophy, you get teachers that come your way and they say, well, you might want to try it a little bit better and, breathe and then let it go. And even with prayer, it's like, well, what am I doing right with this? So I didn't say something wrong. I said, right.
Or how can I do it better?
Right. Because it's all research and experimentation. And as we research and experiment with different ways of doing it, we become better at it. I mean, most of the teachers that we've had are the reverends and everybody else. That it's a constant learning environment where they're finding better ways to do this. They're finding better ways to do prayer. They're finding better ways to manifest in their mind what they want to have the experience of having, because mainly it is the feeling that we're getting out of it.
Like with our last show, JR, he said, the more he can do it, the easier it is for him to sit into it, to get into that feelingness of that oneness with everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it only comes by practice.
Yeah, I highly suggest checking his, sending him an email at his site and saying, hey, I'd like to try your class out one time for free, maybe, and see if it resonates with you, because it's really cool. I mean, if you sit at a desk all day long, I do the coding and stuff like that, I'll get all, and then I'll forget to take a break, and then I'll be here at midnight and wake up with the key prints on my face. So, I mean, it's fun. It's fun. I mean, it's what I do for fun. What do you think? I mean, is it just a constant thing that we go through, or constant feeding of the soul, or is it just, you just do a one and done prayer?
Well, I love how he gave the analogy of there's a prayer that you write out with a period, boom, and that's kind of a stagnant prayer. The one that we feel from our heart, that we pray at that moment, that is the active prayer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Even Ernest Holmes, when he gives prayers in each one of his books, he said, say things like this. Don't say this, but say what resonates with you in the prayer for yourself. And that's where all the power comes from, is when we can sit in that moment and knowing that oneness with the almighty everything, whatever you want to call it, we unify with that, then all the power of spirit is at our command.
Oh, yeah. Well, the title of this one is us doing deep inquiry. And I posted on, if you go to Prayers Radio 24/7 at YouTube, links in the chat, that you could actually see page 36B and C, where it actually goes through and talks about the deep inquiry that we have as individuals. And then there's a couple of others. I just made a couple of shorts this time because I thought they're really good that we always put out on Monday. But you're absolutely right. It's something that we get over time. It's something that's gradual. Jim talks about gradual, cumulative, and sequential in his talks a lot of
Mm.
times. That gradually we do things, sequentially we, anyway, it just basically you get more and more information. You're flexing your muscles.
Yeah, it's
What do
like
you think?
climbing a mountain. You're climbing the mountain for maybe a mile, and then finally you get to one of the first summits, and you look back to see how far you've climbed. And you're taking the vista, the view, everything's beautiful, but yet there's more to climb in front of you.
And still, even with that vista, you're the one that's taking it in and interpreting it. We
Mm.
talked about that in previous shows. Is that your interpretation of something may not be as may not be the same thing as other people.
Right, but you have that feeling, that knowingness within you that is your barometer in a way.
What does that knowingness mean to you?
For me, knowingness is a feeling.
Oh,
When I'm
okay.
in prayer, like Reverend Patty said, when she releases the prayer, it's like a da-dun. Like she knows she released it, it's done, she doesn't have to worry about it anymore. The law of mind takes over.
Well, we talked about it before. It's not just a dong, it's bam.
Bam! It is done.
Yeah, yeah. This is the part where we just have the conversation and stuff because it's
Oh, it's
I
great,
really
isn't
liked.
it?
Yeah, I liked her. I went onto her site again and I listened to some of the newer talks that she had, and they're pretty good.
Yeah,
But
she's as what's her name? Esther Hicks, Abraham would say, she's tuned in, tapped in, and turned on.
yeah, yeah, and she's informed because I like dabbling with a lot of science things. I won't get into that because I do a lot of research on stuff, keeps me busy and informed. And she talks about quantum physics and all this other stuff, which I think I talked about just a moment ago. And she even was on. If you look at the pre show when I was doing our research, because we always look to see what reverends are doing there. We come on and we'll do some research on you beforehand. And she was Iron Man. She had an Iron Man suit on, which Iron Woman, and it was sort of cool. It's like look at her, she's all cool. And then I also went to her site and they have coffee thing in the morning at 8:30, and some centers have this, some centers don't. So I'm like, well, let me go check this out. So I put it on my calendar of things. So we're actually looking at maybe building a calendar of sort of events that we have for our
Mm.
reverend folks that showed up. That you can maybe join on Zoom and stuff, and maybe support their center. It couldn't hurt. I thought it was cool. I met some very neat people there, and they all have interesting things to say, and I get to sit there and sip my coffee.
And it's wonderful for me to see how spirit is showing up through everybody. It's like
What
different
do you,
soups. Like what kind of soup are you making? Each person has their own ingredients in that soup, but yet we're all soup.
well, we like alphabet, right?
Yeah.
So it's a different lens that they look through.
Yeah, but it's all the same energy within each person. When I go out in the world, I look at everybody thinking they're all spirit. Spirit is individualizing perfectly through everything that I see, everything that I feel. And when you know that, you take the separatist away from them and us into all of one.
Hmm. Well, we don't want to dwell on separatists, but we did talk about that in a previous show about how people see things different. Whether it's in relationships or whether it's talking to your pet.
Yeah. Or a glass half empty or half full, or just a
Right.
glass that you can use for as a container.
Yeah, it's all a matter of how you look at it. It's like when I was walking my dogs this morning, and I always call my boy dog Prince. I say, "Oh, you're a good Prince," and then my girl dog, I call her Princess, and other names, other cute little fuzzy names that we give our animals and things like that. But she wants to be called a princess. So, and I think I told you she's a little tiny mini border collie thing and really cute. So,
And that's spirit. That's spirit out picturing as that.
oh, exactly. Oh, exactly. Um, what do you think? What does spirit mean to you on this, though? I mean, we inquired other people, how does spirit work through you and for you? But what does spirit mean to you from what we've heard from the other reverends and other prayer practitioners? What do you think
Um,
their gathered take is on this?
well, spirit is getting out of the ego, knowing there's something greater than you are that's working through you.
Do you
And
think all the people? Oh, go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
Do you think all the people we interviewed think the same way about that and how we're talking about spirit? Or
Well, they know spirit, but yet each is individualizing that spirit differently. They know their oneness with everything, but yet that oneness is different with each person.
yeah, yeah, because each person actually spoke differently on how they saw science of mind. Remember the question we asked of, how do you explain this to somebody that's never
Mm.
know that? They all had a different way of explaining it. JR came from a different place versus Reverend Janet or even Reverend Jim. They all come from a different place but have the same meaning. What are your thoughts on that?
Right. Even Reverend Janet, she comes from a generation of ministers of the science of mind. So she knew nothing other than that growing up. So she had nothing to unlearn. Where we come from other backgrounds where we have to unlearn what we've learned to get to where we are.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I raised my daughter in that, my kids in that, and well, some of them. Um, and they remember going to church and doing this, and it's funny. I was having discussions with her and stuff, and it's like she goes, she's talking science of mind. She's like, it's not science of mind. When you're a certain age, you just you know everything, right? I did. I knew everything when I was 19. I knew everything when I was 20. I knew everything when I was 10 at that time.
And now we know how much we yet to know.
Right, right. And then we're still growing on that because, JR talked about his prayer changing immediately, as he was able to drop into it, as you said earlier. And the other people that we've had on, if they saw their own way of actually doing prayer, how they deal with things during the day and how they see things in the world.
Well, even Reverend Patty's daughter, when she was applying to college, Reverend Patty wanted, remember, to have a backup college. And she's like, Mom, I don't need that. This is what we're taught. This is what I know. I'm going to get to school that I know I'm going to get.
Exactly.
And she did.
And, like you said before, I mean, just because you're not raised in this philosophy doesn't mean you can't learn it.
Oh, no, no. It's a beautiful one to help unlearn what we've already know to something greater.
And you can be science of mind and still be any other, Catholic or anything else. It doesn't matter. A Muslim, any other choose the philosophy or religion. You can still be science of mind because it's just a practice. It's how you're applying the universal principles that Holmes talks about.
Yeah, Ernest Holmes even didn't want a separate philosophy, which we have now, but he wanted this to be an adjunct to whatever religion that you had at that time. But a lot of the religions had dogma, and we don't believe in dogma. We don't believe in a set of rules that you have to abide by, but yet we know principles that we can live our life by.
And that's the principle part. A lot of people have. What does principles mean? I mean, you put out a video on that already on your site, which is what your site is.
IamSpiritAlive.com.
There's your plug again.
And principles are wonderful because it's a way to live. Like our first principle in Science of Mind is knowing that there's a power greater than we are. That's out there, that's in everything, that is in you, it's in me, it's in the life of the birds, of everything around us. We don't have to know that as a rule. We know that as a feeling.
And that's huge.
That's huge. I remember growing up in Catholicism, and they had these rules that we had to know, and I didn't believe in them, so I couldn't say them. It didn't resonate with me. The principles of the Science of Mind, they resonate at my core of who we are.
And it's always funny. I was talking to somebody, we're all one universal mind. I'm like, yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're all energy. We're all that infinite energy.
But we can't accept or not accept exactly what we want. That's
we have, yeah, right. We have that beautiful divine gift of choice.
Yes. I mean, just to speak of the, some people talk about the external and other things coming in. We've talked about this before in other shows, but it really, the race mind is, and there's a show, I think, was it show, what anyways, it talks about race mind. And that's the external stuff that comes in, turn off your TV type of thing. We've talked about that before. But that race mind also includes your local general population of who you're hanging out with. Who are
Right,
you resonating
generationally
with?
handed back to you.
Exactly. And then what are you hearing? We've already covered that in a previous show. But it's all relevant. It's all relevant because at the end of the day, like I always say, who do you have? You have yourself,
Mm.
your voice that's talking to yourself, and then you always test the voice. And we've talked about that. Well, we've talked a lot of stuff, haven't we?
Yeah, 20 shows of stuff.
Good gosh.
But yet, like we said with JR, we're just beginning.
Yeah. There's so many different ways to it, and I always put out those videos. Try to at least do one a week, and
Mm.
then time it so that it comes out because it gives you food for thought on how to apply the philosophy. Because I'm taking directly from the Science of Mind, which is written at the turn of the previous century, in the 19th century, not the 20th, and it's. I look at them and I sit there and I go, what do you mean? And then you go back to, the context of when it was written, but then you go to the present time of what am I hearing and
Mm.
what am I deciphering on this? And each of us, I mean, I'm in awe a lot of times because I'm like, wow, I've got a couple of them that I haven't put out yet that I'm working on right now. And it's not from the site. It's one of Holmes' books and stuff. And we'll probably talk about that offline a little bit later. But man, I mean, just wow. Yeah, I mean, you've put out a couple of things as of late. Did you ever post that one that you sent me to the other day?
Yeah, it's posted on my YouTube channel and my I Am Spirit Alive channel.
And what was that called? Do you remember real quick?
Oh, I don't, because I just put out two other ones after that.
Okay, but that's the newest one. But you'd covered stuff that I hadn't heard before. Ernest Holmes talking,
Oh,
and I was
really?
like, yeah, I was listening to it, and I'm like, I'm still chewing on it. Some of
Yeah,
this stuff
it's deep.
it's deep. I mean, I like to think I'm a critical thinker. I mean, most of our audience is probably critical thinking at at their capacity. I don't pretend to be, know all, but I know some things.
Yeah, whatever resonates with you.
Yeah, that's, we're all the one mind. I think we talked about Akashic records and pulling from the universal all and, God, give me the wisdom and then release it into the law and boom, it pops in your head and you're like, wow, there's my parking spot.
That's what I loved about the Reverend Patty episode we did.
Yeah.
Because now she's in spirit all the time. She doesn't have to go through a process to get there.
Well, a lot of the people that we've interviewed said that. Remember that?
Yeah.
They're
Reverend
always
Janet was a good example of that.
Janet's always in spirit. I know that. It's a lot. I've had people ask me, how do I get to that point? Practice, 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 practice,
Practice.
practice, and then if it isn't something that you haven't practiced or it isn't something that you're not sure about, try it. And I always say, test this for yourself, folks. Don't believe us.
Mm.
Test it for yourself. Take a few classes. Most of the centers that you have, they'll let you in the class for one time to see if that teacher resonates with you, and eventually get to the point where you're the teacher. You become a minister, like, and different philosophies or things of that nature. And once you get to that point, you're still going to be learning. What is it they say? If you stop learning when you're not here, or you've done everything you can in this life. So you basically
if you're here, there's always something to learn.
Yeah. I think I don't remember the reverend the person that said that. They said, how do you know you've done everything in life? You're not here anymore, right?
Mm.
I sat there and I go, oh, that makes sense. Come back as a puppy or I don't know, something like that. Or
Now, you mentioned just earlier about something to chew on. And I
yeah.
remember the video I created with Ernest Holmes' talk from the fall conference. So I take excerpts of it.
Oh,
It's like a
yeah,
50-minute
yeah.
talk, but I wanted to bring it down to the simplicity of the little nuggets in it. And the one thing he said was intelligence is law, therefore the law is intelligent.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I mean you've sent it. You pre-sent me some of those, and I'm like, yeah,
It's like,
publish this, publish this, because it's a lot to. It's just a lot to chew on, but it's something that it opens up other gateways inside of your mind.
right. In the big book, in The Science of Mind, in the 1926 text, he said, be for something and against nothing.
Mm,
That's huge. If you just think of those little words, be for something. What am I for? Which means I can't bitch and moan about something negative anymore because I'm for something. My focus
mm.
is on something different.
Is there something better, as we always say? And I
Yeah.
got that from another philosophy, but it resonates with me. And I remember that's when I got, anyways. We take all the philosophies in and do it. I think I told you the one from the Quran. I'm not speaking it directly. Trust in God, but tie your camel's foot. You know,
Mm.
you know, I don't know if you've ever known camels. They'll leave. I was in the service, and I saw some camels, and they will leave. They will spit on you and go.
They're done.
I mean, they're smart animals. I mean, some of them, most of them are smart. Most of them are smart. Most animals have their own smartness to it, but that's another one that we can talk
Yeah,
about.
instinct, intuition, very different.
Yeah. So we're at the 4 minute mark. So is there anything that you want to? Oh, we didn't even pray in, did we?
We didn't, but we can pray out.
Yeah. Well, this is Prayers Radio Conversation Show. Guess what we do? We talk.
What do we talk about? Prayer.
Yeah, we talk about prayer and science of mind and how it works and what we found that works, and then
Oh, and real fast, Rich, remember the first demonstration you ever got? It might have been a parking space, it might have been blah, blah, blah. But that was enough to keep you going.
oh yeah,
It's the analogy of the little newborn, and it's just working its limbs, it's learning how to move, and it slaps itself in the face. And it looks horrified, like, who hit me? Not knowing that it hit itself until he has response enough to move his limbs the way he wants to move. And that's what science of mind is. We're learning how to move in spirit.
hmm, that's deep.
Yeah, sometimes we're those little kids hitting our faces. Why are somebody hitting me? Well, we're hitting ourselves until we know better.
Don't do this at home, folks. Well, we're at the end of the show.
Do you want to pray us
Again,
out?
yeah, I could do that, but I was going to plug our show. I mean, I've got Prayers Radio, and then if you go to Prayers Radio 24/7, or even Prayers Radio, because our show goes directly to that, because we're on Substack and Apple Podcasts and all these other different ones now, and a lot of people are enjoying the show. We're getting some good feedback from people.
And if anybody
um,
needs prayer, let us know. Like, we are here to pray. That is what we do.
exactly. What is your site one more time?
I am spiritalive.com.
And it's also on YouTube, and it's in the show notes. So let's know together that as I speak my word for everybody in the sound of my voice and on this
Hmm.
wonderful show. I'm recognizing that universal presence is within each of us, manifesting that greater good that will and that is and that are bearing fruit on every aspect of our lives. And I unify with that, knowing that presence has touched many people in our show and in our ministry that Paul and I are doing. That declaration that I'm making right now is a declaration of perfection in each and every person that I see in all the world and in all the different types of open thought that we can have. Because in Science of Mind, it is open thought, it is open mind, and it is a philosophy. And that philosophy that resonates through each and every one of us is a philosophy that is of peace, love, and joy. And I'm knowing right now that this show is complete in all of its different manifestations, and that you are loved, each and every one of you in the sound of my voice. And I'm knowing this to be so, knowing this or something better, giving thanks and releasing it into the law of action. It is done. And so it
And
is.
so it is.
So that that was the 5 steps, actually the 7 steps. I think I did 5 that time. But anyways, you get the prayer down in your head, and then you realize that it manifests that greater good. When you release it into law, bam,
Boom. It is done.
it is done. Well, we are Prayers Radio, and we will see you the following week because this is being pre-recorded. And we appreciate each and every one of you. Please visit our sites and also check out the previous shows we had, and check out the different reverends that we've had and the different prayer practitioners on there. And send them emails if you like, and just know that you are a perfect person.
And let us know if you can't know something for yourself, we can know it for you.
And we know it for you right now, and
Right
release it
now.
into law, and so it is. See you next time.